Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Wagner's Der Fliegende Holländer with conductor Donald Runnicles, which I saw at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And this was also the same production I saw about 3 months ago, and the main reason why I returned to this particular production of Hollander was because there were two artists who made their Deutsche Oper Berlin debut, and those were Andreas Bauer, who sang the role of Dalland, and Josef Wagner, who sang the Dutchman, and two artists who made their role debuts as Zenta and Erik respectively, and those were Martina Weichenbach and Robert Watson. So let's cut to the chase as I talk about the singers, starting off with Josef Wagner, who sang the titular anti-hero of The Dutchman. I mainly heard him through name only, and as I heard him sing this particular role, I was completely gobsmacked of the talent and the overall dedication he has as a singing actor. What I really love about his voice is that it has that fine balance of chiaroscuro and it has a very focused timbre. Yes, it's not like one of those mega huge voices like Otto Edelmann or Hans Hotte, or even the deeper voices with the likes of Franz Krass or even that of Hans Zoltan. But when it comes to Mr. Wagner's overall musicianship and his capabilities as a singing actor, I have to give him a lot of high marks because he was able to make The Dutchman very sorrowful but also very mysterious, as how he was able to move around the stage with each nuance that he was able to give to the Dutchman, and how he was able to make him come alive as a character. And as we expected, he had fine control of that voice, which managed to sound so pure yet rich. So I have to give a lot of high marks to Josef Wagner for a job well done singing this iconic Wagner role. Then we go to Dalland, who was sung by Andreas Bauer. And unlike Josef Wagner's more aristocratic and melancholic style of singing, Andreas Bauer is basically a lot more powerful, gutsy, and raw in his performance as Dalland. He was able to bring out that rough and tumble nature of Dalland, but also that fatherly warmth that he has towards Zenta. But more than anything, he was a wonderful vocalist. What I noticed about his repertoire is that he specializes in both the basso cantante roles and the basso profondo roles. And just by hearing him tonight, I can definitely say that he was a magnificent singing actor. The way he was able to use that huge, wonderful, and absolutely gorgeous basso profondo slash cantante voice was amazing, and his chemistry with Josef Wagner's Dutchman was quite palpable. There is a definite future for them to sing roles like the Grand Inquisitor and Filippo II from Don Carlo, Titurel and Gurnemans from Parsifal, Veit Pogner and Hans Sachs in Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg, Fafner and Fasolt from Das Rheingold, Ramphis and the King from Aida, and many other great roles for two bassos. And I thought that Herr Bauer stole the show in its entirety in this particular role, all thanks to his booming basso profondo slash cantante voice and his ever-engaging stage presence. This was Martina Weichenbach's first time in which she sang the role of Zenta, and when I first heard that she was going to sing this role, I initially had my doubts because I've always acknowledged Frau Weichenbach to be more of a pure lyric soprano ever since I heard her in roles like Pamina from the Zauberflöte and Mimi from La Boheme, she was definitely a lyric soprano, and I knew that she was going to end up singing a dramatic soprano part. But then again, it was also no surprise that the repertoire that she specializes in has been getting heavier and heavier, as evidenced from last year's performance of her singing Irene from Wagner's Rienzi. And it was just as I expected. She was essentially a lyric soprano singing a huge dramatic soprano role. That is not to discredit her talents as a singing actress. I thought she was really good as a singer, as she sang all the notes through and through, but more than anything, she managed to use her stage presence very well. She was ideally young. She managed to make Zenta very youthful, and she really played and looked the part. And of course, her singing of Zenta was solid. But if you know me, I always love grander scaled voices, the likes of Leonie Rizanek, Ingrid Bjorna, Hildegard Hillebrecht, Deborah Voigt, Elizabeth Connell, Julia Varadi, and many other great dramatic sopranos who sang the role of Zenta. But I still have to give my hat off to Martina Weichenbach for a job well done singing this role to the best of her abilities, and more than anything, being very involved as a stage actress. Robert Watson was absolutely superb as Eric. He was able to bring out his angsty nature quite well, and his voice was in absolutely fine shape. This was a gentleman who grew from singing some of the smaller lyrical roles to singing more spinto tenor roles. And I can definitely tell that he has grown so wonderfully as a tenor. The way he was able to sing all of his notes was really well done, and he was able to throw himself into the role of Eric with pure abandon. And I have to give him a lot of credit for everything he has done with this particular role. And he was, as he's always been, a solid singing actor. I would love to see him in a lot of grander roles, and he definitely has an amazing future in all of these fine, heroic spinto tenor roles. Returning as the helmsman and Mari, respectively, were Gideon Poppe and Ronita Miller. Gideon Poppe's helmsman was, as always, wonderfully sung, and he was, as always, a charismatic singing actor, all thanks to his light lyric tenor voice and his absolutely charismatic stage presence. And Ronita Miller as Mari was also a really great singer, all thanks to her firm sounding, lush and gorgeous contralto voice, and of course the firmness and kindness that she was able to bring to Mari. So overall, the singing was really great, especially when you have wonderful newcomers to the Deutsche Oper Berlin like Andreas Bauer and Josef Wagner, and especially when you have two solid singers who made their wonderful role debuts as Zenta and Eric with the likes of Martina Weichenbach and Robert Watson, and of course Ronita Miller and Gideon Poppe always being sterling performers. And the conducting done by Donald Runnicles was absolutely amazing, as it's always been. He made sure that the orchestra went well together, and of course the chorus and orchestra of the Deutsche Oper Berlin were at their most magnificent. So overall, with really great singers from Andreas Bauer and Josef Wagner all the way up to Ronita Miller, and great conducting done by Donald Runnicles and wonderful singing by the chorus, this was definitely a great evening of wonderful artistry and a lot of excitement. And for those of you who watched this particular production of Wagner's Der Fliegende Holländer, what did you think of it? Did you feel like Andreas Bauer and Josef Wagner did amazing jobs in their respective roles as Daland and the Dutchman? And did you also feel like they made great debuts at the Deutsche Oper Berlin? Did you feel like there was another singer who stole their thunder like Martina Weichenbach, Robert Watson, Gideon Poppe, and or Ronnie Miller? Or did you feel like there was someone from the cast that was sort of the weak link? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow evening for my review of Verdi's Aida, also at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, and this time with Noel Boulay singing the role of Amonasro. So until then, good night everybody.